Salutations. Welcome to Spiritual Blitherings, Philosophical Ponderings, and Everything Ramblings at the Hopeful Humanist Cafe. We're going to talk about ideas and flow, the good life, resources for our spiritual toolbox, novel first sentences, t-shirt ideas, and all that etc. stuff that goes with it. We're going to blither. So I have a quote to start off today. I'm thinking it's going to capture the essence of the discussion. This is episode 28, and I've decided to call this Being Day and Talking to the Universe. And I'm going to go back and pick up on a couple of thoughts from my last episode. I ended with a quote from Bartleby the Scrivener from Melville. And I also, in the showcase resources, talked about this book, Happiness, by Thich Nhat Hanh. And really the centerpiece idea that I have today is coming to us from a specific chapter of the Happiness book by Thich Nhat Hanh. So, our quote for the day. My wife is artistic. She loves creating, and she did a spectacular job at painting this sign with a real inspiring message. And it's on our wall, and every day that we pass by this area to get to the entrance area of our house, whether we are coming or going, we pass this inspiring message. It says, in this house, we do real, we never give up, we hug and kiss, we value and respect, we talk, we laugh, we dream, we love. Yeah. She did another sign off to the side on an adjacent wall. And it says, you are enough. You know, just a reminder as we struggle to grow into the best version of ourselves that we can, that we're always bringing our A game to the best of our ability, and we are deserving, we are worthy. So in the last episode, I ended with a quote, I would prefer not to, by Bartleby, from the Bartleby the Scrivener by Melville. And I was thinking of his response to his employment situation as a legal clerk. And all of a sudden, one day, he just stopped working. He in a sense, stopped doing. And it just seemed to kind of arrive in this kind of transcendent kind of place of being. Now that's questionable. All that this is debatable. It's up to interpretation. But I'm going to leave a link for you to access the audio book to Bartleby the Scrivener on YouTube. And a spiritual brother of mine who I've known for years, we went to university together, who I think is just a really talented writer. He really enjoys doing good read reviews of books that he's come across. And he put together a really good review of Bartleby the Scrivener, and I'm going to provide that link as well. So the idea I have here, I'm kind of, I guess, I'm reaching perhaps, but I'm thinking, okay, so in this book that I've listened to, this audiobook that I've listened to a number of times, it's the best way to get beyond the boredom of dealing with concussion recovery. Happiness by Thich Nhat Hanh. I came across this idea of a lazy day. Basically, the idea is that for many of us, we are constantly, and especially in the West, in a state of doing. And we don't know how to just be. I'd have to raise my hand if someone asked that question. Do you struggle with being? Yeah, I really do. Even, going through the concussion recovery process, there's a lot of guilt I experience on a daily basis because you're not supposed to do a lot. You're supposed to take care of yourself and you're supposed to rest. And it's really boring, especially when you're looking around the household that is always in a constant state of entropy, right? Nothing's ever where it should be. And you're thinking, well, there's so much to do, but I mentioned about the Parkwood Points system in the last episode. You know, the idea is certain different activities kind of drain you of the fuel you have in your gas tank, and so you have to do things to replenish it. And so there's this point where you're bored, and so I'm listening to audiobooks, and I find them quite inspiring. And in this audiobook by Thich Nhat Hanh called Happiness, he suggests that many of us struggle with the ability to just be, and that there could be some benefits for us to get out of doing mode and into being mode. And he introduces this idea of a lazy day. I think Bruno Mars has a song called Lazy Day. Maybe I'll see if I can attach that link. I think I also had that one in the masturbation episode. But so this, I was talking to a neighbor yesterday, and my neighbor was kind of identifying what her week looked like, and I just noted that on Saturdays is the Sabbath for their family, and so it's a day of rest. And being a humanist, other adjectives I guess that you could use to describe someone or people like me, hey you people, would be secularist, atheist, humanist. I like, for myself, even though I'm drawn a lot to absurdism, I like the idea of a secular Buddhism. There's a lot about Buddhism that I'm attracted to. And I was wondering if many of my secular, atheist, humanist friends have, as a priority or as a value, have decided to set aside one day of the week where they stop doing and they just being. I think there's a lot of benefits. And if you're a believer in terms of the monotheistic faiths, the Abrahamic, you know what I'm trying to say, faiths, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, and other faiths, there's a sacred day. It's incorporated into their belief system. And I think that there's a lot of benefits to that, especially when I've talked about the idea that we are moving at a pace that's unsustainable and we need to slow down, that we're on the hedonic treadmill swirling around in a soup of this thing called the rat race, right? So slowing down, I think, is really important. Now, for those that have made it a part of their week, they've kind of edified it into their week. I think that there's no thought that has to go into it. It's like it's a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever day it might be. This is the day when we don't do big projects, we don't work hard, we relax, we take care of ourselves. We can mentally, physically, spiritually, or consciously, whatever word you prefer, just regenerate ourselves. And I don't think really, as the humanist, secular, Buddhist kind of guy that I am, spiritual aspirant dude, that we in the family have really made it a priority to edify the idea of a slow down day. So I'm inviting people that might be akin to myself, who can relate to my situation in terms of not being a part of a organized faith, to think about the benefit and the value of having a slow down day. And if you were to have a slow down day, if you were trying to edify this, if you were trying to create a structure that included a specific day of the week when you slowed down, I guess the next question we would have is, what would a lazy day even look like? And in terms of the book, a lazy day would not be, you know, on Sunday I'm going to do some laundry, and then after I do some laundry I'm going to go do some grocery shopping. No, that's work, right? On Sunday, this is what we have. The idea, I think, that is introduced by Thich Nhat Hanh is that it's a day that you don't really plan to do anything, and things unfold with a natural inevitability. And it's something that is enjoyable to ride as it unfolds, because it's kind of spiritually replenishing you and spiritually feeding you, in a sense. It's giving you what you need to eat in a sense. And I don't know, like, I think that that's something that needs to be more of a priority. So we were talking about vision boards, and in the last episode we talked about feeding and extinguishing the fire of, and ... So if it was a feeding and extinguishing the fire of slowing down, one of the things that a person could do to feed the fire of slowing down could be to, in a family discussion, talk about what day you can, quote unquote, make sacred. I think that in addition to this idea of slowing down and having a sacred day, and you know, I suggest at the beginning that perhaps that's what Bartleby was doing. He's like, you know what, all work, no play, just I'm out. And he took perhaps this grand stand to say, I'm done with doing, and I'm all about being. And you know, there's Lilu. Lilu's like, yeah, slow down. When I think about a lazy day for myself too, one of the things I think that would authentically make it a lazy day would be spending time with family, right? Like a lazy day for me would include this idea of hominess, cozily being together and enjoying each other's company, and, you know, in terms of the initial quote, laughing together, dreaming together, playing together, and just enjoying each other's company, perhaps, you know, a good meal, going for a walk together, and just getting some fresh air. Those are things that I think really fit with a lazy day. Now, I'm also going to suggest something else that could be a part of a lazy day for those of us that might be the secular humanist types. And I think as I say this, some people would think, well, this is kind of controversial, or wow, like what hypocrisy. But I feel like there's some things that I have an inclination to kind of embrace, but they would seem to be the things that are supposed to be, I put in quotations, only embraceable by people of a faith. And the idea of praying to God. I don't pray to God per se, but I think when I picture a being day, or whatever you'd like to call it, you know, in terms of like generating discussions about and fostering creativity, what would you call your day if you had a sacred day, a day of rest, a relaxing day, a lazy day? I like this idea of a being day, and on this being day, or really any day of the week, perhaps, just to be mindful about the interconnectedness of all things and our situatedness within it. I'm attracted to this idea, and I think people will find it perhaps irrational. I'm drawn to this idea of talking to the universe, to the dynamic universe. When I think of God, I think that there's a number of descriptors that seem to have been identified as only belonging over in this category over here, but I believe that we could kind of say no, they don't have to stay over there. That they can be embraced and brought over here. And when I think of whatever it is that we're talking about when we think about God, I think about vastness. I think about the mystery, something mysterious, something that's incomprehensible, that goes beyond description, and something that's enveloping. And all those words for me, in terms of this privileged moment that I have here as the hopeful humanist, I think that they're connected and associated with my experience of the universe. The universe is vast. It's mysterious, it's incomprehensible, it's enveloping. And I find that when I go for walks, I've had this urge to talk to the universe. There was a book a long time ago, I think over a decade ago, called Conversations with God, and it was very popular. This idea that you could have like a direct communion, just the everyday person could have a direct communion with transcendence, and it was very attractive. It was very popular. But for me, I felt at times compelled to start talking, but not to this personified, let's say, Christian version of this thing that we categorize as God, but to talk to the dynamic universe. And what does that mean? I don't know, but I feel compelled nonetheless, in terms of my smallness yet situatedness and connected to this larger thing that subsumes me, this all one experience. And it's comforting to me. And I just wanted to put it out there as a thought that perhaps it doesn't have to be strange. Perhaps it could be okay. I'm sure that there will be some uncomfortableness with that, as if like there's like been a co-opting. But I mean, like, if something's been co-opted, who co-opted it? Both sides, I guess, could suggest that. But yeah, I like this idea of a being day where you can talk to the universe. And in terms of some of the things that you might want to talk about, well, I mean, it's just when I'm talking to the universe, it's kind of it has to do with a desire for inspiration and insight to be a wiser me. And two, during the very difficult times, to within discover a source of perseverance that can stir the imagination, but it always culminates in a deep appreciation of the depth of the universe, and it's about being grateful. And so, yeah, I in terms of a being day, I think we might want to talk to the universe, and so that's my T-shirt idea. Talk to the universe. It's an experiment, like anything, in terms of what I suggest. These are just suggestions. They're from some just guy who thinks that there could be some real blessings that might come from setting aside a day where you can be and be with family and recognize your connectedness with, you know, the all one, and in the process, be mindful of the things that we might want to be grateful for. And by doing this, we will be feeding the fire of slowing things down. And I think it's going to really have a benefit in terms of mental, physical, and conscious health. So I didn't give a lot of thought to this discussion. I actually was on a walk. I just thought, you know, in terms of the one take, unedited way of doing these episodes, it could be interesting to have a raw discussion that was right on the tip of my mind's eye. And so I offer that to you. So the links will be a reference to, once again, the book called Happiness by Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm going to include a link to the audio book Bartleby the Scrivener on YouTube. And in terms of kind of giving some justification for this idea of talking to the universe, and that it could be okay. It might be okay. It might not be so crazy. I offer this closing thought called I Am the Cosmos. And this is a thought. I'm going into a journal from March 3rd, 2003. And it says, I am the cosmos. I am a culmination of the cosmos. I am the air that I breathe, the water that I drink, the food that I eat, the earth that I walk upon, and the sun that shines down upon me. I and the universe are one. So thank you for joining me for this conversation, this neighborly moment, and I hope that at some point you might be able to experience the blessings of a lazy day.